Hey, St. Catharines, Mayor Matt Cisco here, and welcome to another episode of talkSTC. It's been a busy few weeks in the city. We officially welcomed our new councillor representing the Port Dalhousie ward. We heard from citizens of the St. George's ward at our most recent town hall. Always entertaining and always good to get out and hear from residents in the community. We participated in the Ontario Big City Mayor's annual general meeting, and we're continuing to advocate for the city at those meetings, along with all of the other meetings that I get to attend. And I also had the opportunity to head over to the Niagara College Seafood Gala, the Down Syndrome Niagara Trivia Night, and the YMCA Move for Kids bowling event. So a busy, busy month. Today, we are very excited. We are going to have a conversation with Ernie Sibbett, the chairman of the Crime Stoppers of Niagara board, along with Luke Jazadovicius, an executive board member with the board, to discuss the important work that Crime Stoppers does for our community. And then after that, I will be joined with my friends from the Club Roma soccer program to talk about the upcoming League One season, which kicks off this month. But my first guests are both members of the board of Crime Stoppers Niagara. Ernie Sibbett currently serves as the chairman of the Crime Stoppers of Niagara board. He joined Crime Stoppers in 2011, Ernie?
Actually, I think it was 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't giving you enough credit.
Stupidity.
But you witnessed a lot of growth in that time throughout the years. You've held a lot of different positions on the board, and you have the honor of serving as chair and have done so on 4 different occasions now. Well done. And then we've got Luke Jazadovicius, an executive board member with Crime Stoppers of Niagara, and you play a key role in supporting community safety and public awareness initiatives. With a background in engineering and over a decade of experience in technology and digital strategy, you're bringing a unique perspective to Crime Stoppers, combining innovation with a deep commitment to civic engagement. Did I get that right?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Ernie, we'll start with you. Okay. History of Crime Stoppers in Niagara. You and I have had this conversation before, but why don't you tell the community about the history and what made you want to get involved?
Well, the history here, everything started in 1977.
Okay.
Then it came to Toronto in 80 something.
Okay.
So as we went along, then we had a committee struck of members of different, like the city mayors and stuff, to decide whether or not we required Crime Stoppers in this area. Mm-hmm. And after all the delegation, they said absolutely.
Yeah.
So 1985, we kicked off, and the region and cities have been supporting us terrifically. And it's been an exciting venture. Let me tell you, things have changed.
I can imagine. I mean,
when we first started and I got onto the board, if we got 30 tips a month, it was huge. We're making a difference. Now we get 200, 250 tips a week.
Wow.
So making a difference is really there. I think most of it is that we decided to get ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And one of our biggest pushers is sitting in this room with us, Jack. And Jack started a TV show with us, This Week in Crime Stoppers. And we ran that very successfully for a long time. And that got people starting to know who we were and what we were doing and the difference we were making. And then it's most people, well, actually, I was just asked to go to the Ontario board meeting to tell them why we're so good.
It's nice when people want you to show up and brag, right?
You know, and they wanted to know, how can you do that? We got people that are in trouble here. We got, things that aren't fundraising. And I just went through what we did, because the whole basis is turning in criminals.
Yeah. That's
how it started. That's what it was. We went for that. Then we got involved with elder abuse. Mm-hmm. Then we got with a program called Beware, Take Care. And in that program, we actually redid a book of safety that we had. I believe I gave you one.
You did? You gave me a copy.
So even this morning, we just did a big presentation at the Thorold Senior Community.
Phenomenal.
So it's growing because we're out there.
Yeah.
We're at the Jackfish, Ice Dogs, River Lions. People are now getting to know us, and they trust us. except for last night. But anyway, other than that, it was good. basically. And how I got started, the vice chair
Okay.
was a friend of mine. I played bridge, and he was an excellent bridge player, so we were always friends in that. And I'd be over at his house all the time and be lecturing him about how they should be out doing this and that.
And he finally just said, "Why don't you come on board?"
His wife said it, believe it
yeah.
or not. She says, "Why don't you just shut up and go on the board?"
There you go. Sometimes that's the best way. That's how I got into politics.
Yeah, right. It's what it is, and your message you get out.
Yeah.
If you didn't get your message out, you wouldn't be the mayor.
Wow, that's true.
So people bought into your message. They like what you're doing, and you're reaching out all the time.
Right on. And let's give a shout out to Your TV and Jack Custer's one of my favorite people in the community, for letting me get my message out.
Absolutely.
All right, Luke. So what got you involved with Crime Stoppers?
Well, I think you hit an age at some point where you realize that, your community, the institutions around you, they don't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They're pushed forward by people, by individuals, and you can see Ernie's getting a little older. And so we need some new blood on the board, and I think he could support me on that. That he's looking to retire at some point. But these institutions are here, and at some point you realize as a member of society that you have to be part of it. And if you want, you can do more to help preserve what made your life growing here so good. You know. So I was born and raised in Niagara region, St. Catharines, and I want to preserve it, and so I think everyone, if they have the means, they should try and do what they can to really continue that fostering of a good environment. So that's really what motivated me.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So Ernie mentioned it, Luke. How does the tip line work? He's saying 30 a month was good, and now it sounds to me 250 a week. That's about 30 a day. So how does it work? My understanding is it's anonymous.
It is, and truth be told, us as board members, there's a clear isolation between us and the tip line. It's actually handled by a complete third party. Mm-hmm. All of whether it's a phone submission or an online submission, it's handled by a third party entity that really is the broker between the tipster and the police. And us as board members, our main job is really while we monitor the progress and we're trying to promote it. So in a sense, we're not directly managing the tip line. We get reports, and we understand if our any sort of campaigns that we're running, whether it's it's creating a positive impact on the stats, and we do get reports in terms of from the police, which tips actually contributed to an arrest in a meaningful way, and their suggested payout. And so we can approve it or even increase it if we think it was actually a more valuable.
Yeah.
And then we send it to the third party, and then they reach out to the tipster. So in a lot of ways, there's that gap, and it's intentional because it has to be anonymous. And so even us as board members, we don't have the inside information. So we're really stewards of this program, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, and I think that's a good way to do it. Now, you've got a couple of key programs. Ernie, tell me a little bit more about the elder abuse program. You mentioned it earlier, but this is something you guys have been really pushing over the last couple of years.
Well, what happened was we were approached by a financial advisor in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and he got a hold of me through Claude Tremblay, that was the past chair that decided it's more important to go around the world once than it is to be all the time on Crime Stoppers, although he did come back.
Yeah.
But anyway, when we did that, we sat down with the gentleman, and he says, I'm going to make this blunt. We need you. We need Crime Stoppers. We need the ability to make an anonymous tip. So he went in, I don't want to rattle on this, but he went into the project with us saying, this couple came to me, retired gentleman from the US that made $30,000 a year, a woman that was into the millions, and they wanted to combine their income. So what happened was everything seems right, and if anybody deals with elders, you know that elders have a very definite mind of how they want to handle their affairs.
Yes.
And you'd have to prove by a doctor that they can't do it in order to take it away from them.
Yep.
So they go ahead and do it. They sign the papers, and the gentleman says to him, right, how quick can I get $250,000 out of that account? And he says, why would you want that? She's got a bank account with $800,000 in it. He says, because I said I want it out of there, and I'm going to hire my own financial advisor. So the gentleman shredded the papers right where in there. The guy laughed at him.
Yeah.
He said, I'm just going to go down the street. Doesn't matter. And he said he couldn't do anything about it. He knew himself that this was criminal, and this is what was happening. So he said, I can't do anything about it. We've got to be able to do something. And they asked us to do that, and I approached the chief at the time and said, what do you think, And he said, absolutely. It's a crime. So it come out as the Chief's Initiative 1. And we were planning to follow that with Chief's Initiative 2, child abuse.
Yeah.
But we got so wrapped up in the elder abuse that it just stayed there.
Well, and they're massive topics, right? And they take a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Luke, you were talking before we got on camera. You were talking about hotspots. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So this is this is a program that this is really new. It's really in its nascent phase, but the idea is to be a little bit more proactive. So right now the tip line is kind of a reactive thing. So a crime has happened, and we're just kind of passively waiting for people to submit tips to us. And it does work, and our campaigns work, and it's doing well. But we're wondering, we spoke to Vance Badaway, and he had this idea of what if we could be a little bit more proactive, and so this would involve a little bit more of a direct line of communication with the police departments to say, oh, we have this maybe an ongoing investigation, or there's a lot of graffiti happening in this area of town, so maybe we can put up do targeted, let's say, you could almost think of it like wanted posters, but targeted advertising about hey, if you know anything about these problems, here's an anonymous tip line with a reward involved if your tip constitutes a meaningful progress toward an investigation, but being a little more specific. And so this could be social media posts that highlight a particular crime or a tough area in town or something, and also scouring the Niagara Regional Police's website. So they actually post on a routine basis a news feed of ongoing investigations, and so we can tap into that and then post posters in those neighborhoods. It's actually, they have a geographic map, and they show where crimes are happening. So we can pick out, identify essentially crimes that we feel are particularly bad and actually target them.
That's fantastic. I like the proactive nature of it. I think that's important. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. I am going to have you guys back because I know that we could probably fill an entire episode just with Crime Stoppers. But thank you so much, gents. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, man.
We'll be right back after this with more Talk STC. And welcome back to Talk STC. You may have noticed there's a bit of a wardrobe change. I get to talk about sports, which I'm sure you figured it out now, is one of my favorite things in the world. My next guests are from the Club Roma soccer program. First, we have Mark Bolton, who's the general manager of soccer operations and coach of the League One Under-20 women's team. Welcome, Mark. Also, we have Conrad Charnetsky, our League One Premier Men's Team player. Welcome, Conrad.
Thank you.
And we have Federico Turiziani, the head coach of the League One Premier Men's Team from Perugia, Italy.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce it right?
Perfect.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. I get to indulge myself a little bit in the soccer talk, and we may have gone on way too long before we got on air. But Mark, tell me a little bit about Club Roma.
So Club Roma is a youth organization, not-for-profit, that has a registration of approximately 1,200 registrants going into the season. We have all age groups from 4 up to 40. We have a youth program, house league. We have travel. We have a high performance program that we put together over the last couple of years that have grown substantially from 2 teams to 9 going into this season. And then we have our League One program that it's a semi-professional league that we're very proud of and to have at the club.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about League One. Like, why is it important that St. Catharines has got a club in League One?
So when we first sat down at the boardroom table to talk about whether the fact that we would bring League One into Niagara, not just St. Catharines, but into Niagara, it was based on the fact that we had so many talented players within Niagara, and we were noticing that all of them were leaving Niagara for the opportunity to go play semi-professional in Ontario.
Yeah.
So our goal was to create that team locally so that we were able to promote St. Catharines, promote Niagara, and the talent that comes out of it. Well, that was the goal.
That's phenomenal, and it's one of the things we talk a lot about is trying to make sure that opportunities exist for the younger athletes that are coming out of St. Catharines. I think it's something we've seen in a variety of sports is kids having to leave, and so to have this in St. Catharines I think is phenomenal because it keeps one of our best exports, which is soccer players, like it keeps them at home and able to continue to on their soccer journey in town as opposed to having to leave. So that's phenomenal. Absolutely. Federico, you were all the way from Italy. What brought you to St. Catharines for the League One program? Like, what caused you to make that decision?
You know what? It's a client club,
yep.
And when we met these people, we created right away an engagement, and with the same goal. So when the League One arrived to Club Roma, for me was an amazing opportunity to start. And for me, St. Catharines right now is the second house, let's say, because I spent 6 months here, 6 months in Italy,
yep.
And that's for me is a big part of my life. So I'm very happy to be part of it, represent this club, represent the city. So I can't wait to start even next season right now.
That's phenomenal. How long have you been involved in soccer?
So 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. I started to coach very young, let's say. And I started in Italy in the youth program, obviously. I tried to coach in professional environments. I tried to coach in a national team in Azerbaijan, like assistant coach.
Okay.
And then last 5 years, I spend my time here, and I'm very happy for what we have done in St. Catharines with these guys.
That's phenomenal. Conrad, let's talk about your soccer journey.
Okay.
How'd you get to where you are today? Like, what got you to this point?
I'm currently 24 years old for some context. So when I was 18, I graduated high school. I went to go play some professional soccer in Poland.
Okay.
I was there for a little bit, and then I returned to Canada. I joined semi-professional soccer here in Ontario. And I also started school. So I was part of the OUA. So I'm current center back and captain of Brock men's soccer team.
Okay.
Currently in the process of a transfer to York University. But yeah, so I was playing.
We won't hold that against you.
I was with North Toronto last year,
Okay.
League One Premier men's team in League One Ontario, and this year I'm with St. Catharines Roma.
So what do you look? I mean, you made the transfer. You were saying earlier you were at the promotion game last year. What was it that drew you to Roma, other than the fact that obviously you're familiar with the area. You've been in St. Catharines for a couple of years.
Yeah.
What was the thing that sort of keyed in for you?
Culture.
Okay.
If anyone was at that game, I was at that game in those stands watching that promotion game. It was insane. There was nowhere to move. There were so many people, flares, fireworks. I said it before at a Roma event. The club here, St. Catharines Roma, has better atmosphere than probably most CPL clubs, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So it's nice to play something bigger than yourself. So much potential here, nice culture, great atmosphere. It's something a player wants to be a part of. So that's why I'm drawn here.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think the culture in St. Catharines beats all of the CPL communities. No disrespect to my friends in Hamilton or Halifax or wherever else, but... So Federico, you've got an upcoming season. What are your expectations for the men's team this year?
We just get promoted. So obviously we have to start with step by step, baby step. So our goal is try to save the Premier Division, obviously. Of course, my goal is be a surprise of this league.
Yeah.
We know that we will face a very strong team like Vaughan, Cinco, Rover, for example, and Scrossopi. But I think we already start to work, and we built a very good competitive roster.
Mm-hmm.
We're still missing players from that are away from university, but our goal is try to be a surprise of this league.
You know what? That's always one of the things. When you see, it's one of the unique parts of soccer is you've got the relegation and the promotion, right? And it's always enjoyable to see those teams that step up and move into the next higher division, and then all of a sudden, you expect them they're going to have a tough time, and they just start, playing at that level and taking on teams that you wouldn't have expected because they've been playing lesser competition previously. And they do become the surprises of the league. So I'm sure you have a lot of us cheering you on.
Yeah, the core is there. I think the core is competitive. And plus, we implemented this roster with players like him, for example, that bring us the experience and in this division. So I'm confident that we can do a very, very good job.
Excellent. Mark, what are your expectations? You got the women's team. You're trying to get back into League One. So what are your expectations for this year?
So a couple years ago, we ended up having to move to just a League Two team. And I shouldn't say just, but we're at League Two, which is the second division. This year, we are working very hard, as we did with the men, to try to create the best roster we can. We have been able to recruit numerous girls to come and play with us this year. And our absolute goal this year is to get promoted again and have a back-to-back promotion season. For sure. Definitely. And I mean, that's I think that'd be exciting for everybody in the community to know that we're playing in the top tier of League One on both sides of the ball. Conrad, if folks haven't been to a League One game, what do they expect? Like, you were talking about flares, and I will say, like, as someone who loves soccer, I've been to games in Europe, that's relatively commonplace. But for folks here in St. Catharines, what's the experience like?
It's not common, right? You said it. Like, I've been to some games too in Poland. The little atmospheres they have, there's less people, but those people are nuts. They're crazy. They create an insane atmosphere, and you just want to be there. You want to be there supporting your team. So, translate it to St. Catharines. That's kind of what's happening here in Ontario.
Yeah.
The atmosphere in that promotion game, Guelph for St. Catharines, that's never ever happened in League One, and definitely hasn't happened with a lot of CPL clubs. So it's pretty cool to be a part of that and want to support your team in that environment. I think it's very cool.
Right on. Just a little history on that too. It's the first time that there's ever been a promotion relegation in North America. So it was yeah. There's never been promotion or relegation in North America.
I had no idea. Okay, that's even cooler. All right.
The first playoff of the history.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Okay.
Incredible. Yeah, it was incredible.
I love that we're a part of that. So do you guys have any booster clubs through Roma? Like, I know, I'll use Hamilton as example. They got the Barton Street Battalion. Do you guys have like the Vancicle Vanguard or anything like that?
So actually, I really like that name because we've been trying to come up with one, and we do have some people that are interested in trying to start that. We have a couple of players, not players, but fans in our organization that they're trying to create their own songs, they're trying their own chants, and they're going to be working to try to build that group. Yeah, let's just say so. Yeah, we're working on that right now, actually, as we speak.
I was going to say, because if you're lighting off flares, you better have some songs to sing along with it, or else it's just fireworks, and that's a different thing. So season kicks off April 12th?
April 12th.
Season kickoff is April 12th.
We have a doubleheader. It's the League Cup kickoff games.
Yep.
And we have a doubleheader at Kiwanis. The women are playing at 3:15 p.m.
Yep.
And the men are following that at 6:30.
So, and then throughout the season, your season runs until, is it August?
August.
Yeah, end of August for the men's and end of July for the women's.
And once the weather gets better, everything's over at Roma, and you guys have the stands in the back, and got a fantastic restaurant attached there. So if people need a night out, like, I mean, it's probably one of the best one-stop shops for an entertaining evening.
Yeah.
How do folks get tickets? Like, if people want to come out to the games, do they have to go up to Club Roma to get the tickets, or are they able to buy them online?
So online, we don't have that platform yet, but we are working on that. We have a hard ticket that you can purchase, and will be at Club Roma directly. You can just go to the front office and get them there, or you can stop by our new indoor training facility, the Wolf Den.
Yep.
And we also have them available there too.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Wolf Den, because I thought this is something cool that hasn't been done in St. Catharines, and you guys have given me something to think about in terms of rec facilities. Like, what are we lacking in the city that maybe other municipalities have? But tell me about what you're doing with the Wolf Den.
So the Wolf Den was a project that we started up I started working on it in October, and then we were able to find a space within St. Catharines. We wanted it to be in St. Catharines, local, and it's an indoor high-performance training facility. It has turf, it has baseball cages in it, it has a small gym that can be utilized by anyone that comes, and the demand for the indoor training facilities is like through the roof, let's just say.
Yes.
So we've had a really, really good response to what we've done. It's on Oakdale Avenue, and going into next winter, starting in October, the demand is even going to be higher. I'm already getting calls now in regards to bookings for October because they know that space is there and they want it prior to, losing it.
Yeah.
Because the only other options for us right now, other than being in St. Catharines, is to go to Welland or Niagara Falls.
Yeah, and that's when I said, it's something I've become aware of. It's a conversation with you guys, and then it was almost immediately right after that I had baseball folks reaching out and saying, listen, we need some sort of indoor facility. And then I had, the tackle football folks tell me, yeah, we got to have somewhere. And it's starting a different kind of a conversation for the city. It's like, okay, we have a turf field, we've got other facilities, but are we lacking something? So I appreciate you giving me something else for my plate, something else I got to consider.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So my last question. Obviously you've got League One, and I mean that's at the very top of the quality scale. If folks want to get involved with Club Roma Soccer in any other of the opportunities that you offer, like you've got your house league, you've got the other competitive teams, how do they get a hold of you? Where are they headed?
It's easiest just to go to our website.
Yep.
And they can reach out to any one of our administrators in regards to there's drop downs in our website for house league, for travel, for HP, whatever it may be, whatever you're looking for, we could pretty much accommodate anything. And right now, I know our house league for sure is open right now for registrations.
Excellent.
And that will continue to be there right up until beginning of June.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you coming out. I wish you all the luck in the world. I will be out at games this year, and now I don't really have a choice now. I got my scarf, I got my hat. Yeah, you got me a nice golf shirt in there. So, but I'll be out supporting you, and I look forward to it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
us.
it.
See you soon.
Right on. We will be right back after this on Talk STC. St. Catharines, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Talk STC. I want to give a big thanks to our guests today. I want to thank Ernie and Luke from Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a fantastic organization in our community. I can't say enough about the work that they do, whether it's their elder abuse program, whether it's the human trafficking program, whether it's the hot spots they were talking about today. All of those programs help to contribute to a feeling of safety within our community, and I want to say thank you to them and to the other volunteers at Crime Stoppers who give their time and put that effort in to make sure that our community stays safe. I also want to thank Mark and Federico and Conrad from Club Roma and Roma Soccer. As I said, I'm looking forward to getting out there, getting to the games, and supporting Roma as they embark on a new League One season with the men and embark upon a season aiming for League One with the women. I can't wait to get out to those games for the men and the women at Club Roma on Vansicle. Thank you again, St. Catharines. Take care of yourselves as the weather gets better, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Talk STC.